So for the third episode of what my friend suggested me, it's time I do the one about the Constitution. Specifically, the times it had been changed. And even more specifically than that, the latest change to it, the 27th Amendment. The 27th Amendment is this: no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. This basically means that congressmen, and women, this channel isn't sexist, can only change their pay after an election season has taken place. However, just talking about this amendment is an interpretation to put even a law student to sleep. So let's talk about the most interesting part of this amendment, its history. The 27th Amendment was first proposed in June 1789 by none other than James Madison, who proposed that along with 11 other amendments, 10 of which eventually became the Bill of Rights. So this is pretty important stuff, I guess. The Congressional Pay Amendment, while gaining congressional support, failed when it came to state ratification, and this is where it entered what I like to call governmental procrastination. Governmental procrastination isn't like your typical procrastination that mere mortals like you and I face. It is a hell that takes years, decades, and sometimes even centuries. With constitutional amendments, this was allowed through Article 5 of the Constitution, which was silent on whether or not to give deadlines on potential amendments. So when the Congressional Pay Amendment was passed through Congress, only around 5 states ratified it in the first couple of years of it being proposed. Ohio then seemingly randomly, though history is never random, ratified it in 1873. Same with Wyoming in 1978. So imagine that we are in 1982. The amendment has only been ratified by 9 states at this point, with a ratification seemingly happening once in a century when states want to stick it to the government. Then imagine that you are a college student interested in the recently failed Equal Rights Amendment and decide to write a paper about it for your government class. You're also a liberal arts major, which means that you think that you can change the world. This was the situation that college sophomore Gregory Watson was in when he accidentally discovered the proposed Congressional Pay Amendment while researching other failed amendments. After seeing this and the abuses that Congress were making without the amendment, he dropped the Equal Rights Amendment and went straight to making the best paper about the Congressional Pay Amendment he could possibly make. And he got a C on it. No worries, he'll just send it to the professor and she'll correct it. And the professor kept the grade. Well, there's only one thing you can do in situations like these. You start a movement to get it ratified. And that's exactly what Watson did. Over the next 10 years, Watson campaigned for states to ratify the amendment, with Maine becoming the first in 1983. The required 39 states were finally met, with Michigan ratifying it in 1992. After some debate of the legality of this movement, because suddenly ratifying a constitutional amendment from 1789 is a little bit sketchy, it was finally put in the Constitution the same year. And that, my friends, was the 27th Amendment. And there are 2 lessons that can be learned from this. 1. No matter how bad of a procrastinator you are, there is always a world government that is worse than you. And 2, the next time you get a low grade on an essay or paper, you fight for a higher grade until you change the world in a way where you are right and they are wrong.